loves, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute, but we're back and we're better than ever. I just want to start off by saying today is my birthday. I am 20 years old, y'all. That's 2 decades, and my mind still has not really grasped around the fact that I'm 20. Like, I'm no longer a teenager, and it just blows my mind. But I'm looking forward to seeing what this next decade holds, like the next 10 years, because wow, it's graduation, it's law school, it's marriage, it's dating, it's living on my own. It's a lot because I'm becoming an adult, which is okay. So today I just want to talk to y'all about why I'm starting my channel up again and what it's going to detail, but then also just to do a recap of year 19, because honestly it was one of the hardest years of my life. But I hope that by talking about it and making a video about it, I'll help somebody that's in a similar situation. With that being said, I'll start off by saying I am a workaholic. So I always like being busy. I always like having something to do. And with that being said, I often don't have a lot of time for myself. Especially in January when there was a normal school year. Every day it was a meeting, it was homework, it was another meeting, it was trying to balance my social life. And it got to the point where I kept saying, I wish I just had like a weekend to relax, or a week to relax. And I kept saying that so much, and it just hurts because I was looking more towards the future and being able to have rest in the future and not thinking about the now and living in that moment and appreciating what life had to offer in that moment. And being that COVID happened in March and being sent home, when I left for school, I told my mom I'm not coming back unless it's for holidays or a celebration or something. But to stay long term, that was not going to happen. But here I am. I've been home since March. I stayed home last semester and just commuted when I needed to go to A&T. And honestly, it's been one of the most humbling experiences and really taught me that we need to embrace each moment of our life because we're never going to get that moment back. And we also don't know what the next day holds. If you had told me last year this time that I'd be sitting right here, being home since March and can't do anything for my birthday because of a virus, I really would have looked at you like, excuse me. And so being that this is our reality now, I think a lot of people try to take it as a negative, whereas although it's taken a lot from us, it has also, I know personally speaking, it's given me an opportunity to really do a lot of self-reflection that's going to help me in the coming years. And had this not happened, then I wouldn't have had that opportunity. Now don't get me wrong. If I could go back to having a normal school year, no virus, I would do it for sure. But I feel like eventually somewhere in my life I probably would have hit a brick wall. Whereas now I'm prepared to move through my 20s, honestly. I will also say it also taught me one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in 19, and I kind of took this from 18 as well. I remember my mentor telling me that you can't compare yourself to others, and that has always stuck in my head because anytime I think about comparing myself to others, I think about the fact that if God wanted me to be where they are, then I would be there. And because I'm not there, it's not for me. Now in the future, it could be for me, but in this moment, in this now, it is not for me, and I need to respect that and embrace the journey that I'm on now. Because when you don't embrace your journey, you don't develop gratitude and you don't find the beauty in what you're doing. And with that being said, I've recently started doing like a lot of manifestations, a lot of gratitude, and just writing down the things that I'm grateful for, at least 3 things once a day to kind of bring me back to earth. But then also the things that I'm looking for, and I'm writing them in terms of it already happened, because I'm believing that God is going to put in my life what I ask, but he's going to do it on his own pace, and he's going to base it off of whether he knows I need it or not. And I respect that wholeheartedly. The thing that I learned this year was asking God, when you ask God to remove people from your life, be prepared for him to shake the room. When I tell y'all, I asked him to remove, I always pray this at least twice a year, and I ask him to remove the people that are in my life that are not supposed to be in my life. When I tell y'all, he will. No questions. No questions at all. Even when I meet new friends, like new developing relationships or anything, I ask him and say, if this is not for me, to remove them now so I don't have to worry about that in the future. And even if he doesn't remove that person in that moment and the person leaves my life at a later setting, I know that that person served a purpose in my life, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm not looking at it in the sadness of, oh, they left, but it's, oh, I'm grateful for having them in my life to teach me the lessons that I needed to learn, that I couldn't learn on myself, and using those to move forward to make myself a better person. And I believe that's something that a lot of us do. We don't really sit down and think about how something is benefiting us. We just think about the sadness that it brings on. If you go to my Instagram, you know that I lost somebody really close to me this year. And while it did hurt, looking back, God prepared me in ways that are kind of unexplainable. And I'm going to make a video about this at a later date eventually when I'm ready to talk about it. But God works in mysterious ways. And so being able to take that, the concept of people are in your life for a reason and being able to learn from them, I am so thankful that I got to experience the love like kids, and then being able to move forward and kind of continue his legacy, because he was always smiling, always happy, and that's something that I try to do. And so when you think about the people that you lost, you should think about it in the terms of, what did you gain from having them in your life, and how can you apply that to make yourself a better person? Also, just trusting that God does everything for a reason, and whether we realize that in the moment or not, we need to at least think about that and visualize him turning that situation for good for us. I also want to talk about the celebration of life, because honestly, y'all, I was not planning on celebrating my birthday at all. A couple weeks ago, if you had asked me, I would have been like, yeah, I'm just gonna be in bed watching my Hallmark movies, and that's it. But then I realized that life is precious and it's not promised. So anytime that you get a chance to celebrate life, then you should do that and you should embrace it, because you never know what the next day holds at all. And honestly, I look back on a lot of things that happened this year, and the biggest thing that stands out to me is I was on my way to a funeral in August, and I was really sad about it. So I'm driving down, the rain is like coming down, and I'm on cruise control. I'm going like, the cruise is set on 65, maybe 70, and I'm too focused on everything that's going on in my head and not fully on the road. And when I realized that it was raining real hard, and that we were going too fast, I turned off the cruise and I braked. When I braked, y'all, it was 18-wheeler beside me on the left, and I started like swerving really bad. When we ended up stopping, we stopped on the right side of the highway, straight forward, no scratches on the car, no dents, nothing. And in that moment, I realized that could have been completely worse than what it was. And if God didn't want me here, then I wouldn't be here right now. And so him sparing my life like that just makes me want to continue living for him, but also just continuing to shine my light and help others, which is why I decided to start this page up, because, and I call it Behind the Mask, because social media is so toxic. And when I say that, I mean in the reference to comparing yourself to others. A lot of times you see people doing so many great things, but you don't see the work that goes behind it, and you don't see what it took for them to get there. And I think that that's something that needs to be shown, to show that reality on social media is not reality in real life. And so I want to have this platform to just kind of share some of my struggles and how I've got through it, and how I've gotten through it as well. so that others can kind of use it as a template to get themselves out of similar situations or just better themselves in general. Because at the end of the day, if we don't help lift each other up, then who will? And going back to celebrating life, just being able to celebrate it and realize that you are loved is so refreshing, because I feel like oftentimes we forget about the people around us. We think about A, B, C, D, and F, but we don't think about the rest of the letters. But we need to start looking at the whole picture rather than just one little snippet. And celebrating life just kind of shows that even more. And with that being said, I hope you all are able to take some nuggets from this video and utilize that in your own life, because that's how we create change. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.